Story 1. I'm not going to need it when I am gone. I might as well give it to someone who does. I have signed up automatically as opted out here in the United Kingdom. Story 2. My organs will be donated when I die. Why not? Could save a life and I obviously won't need them anymore. Story 3. My friend was killed 6 years ago yesterday. He was an organ donor and the first person to donate his organs to the Gift of Hope organization at the local trauma center. As difficult as it is to be without my friend, it is comforting to know that so many people have parts of him and can continue their lives with their families. Some of the recipients have written letters to his family, which makes the impact even more significant. Story 4. As the sister of an organ recipient, I am eternally grateful to the donor and their family. I am also listed as a donor on my license. Story 5. My sister died of a brain aneurysm in Ireland while on vacation. Now several Irish people have received her donated organs. They think she would have liked that. Story 6. I am fully supportive of organ donation. I do not understand why anyone would oppose it. Once a person has passed away, they will no longer need their organs. Story 7. Our son received a heart. We are now all organ donors and pray that I have something useful to donate when I pass on. Story 8. I am signed up to be an organ donor. A friend of mine passed away, and since he was an organ donor, the hospital tested him to see if he would be a match for anyone on the waiting list for donation. He turned out to be a confirmed match for 6 people, so he was able to make multiple donations. Knowing he helped save 6 lives provided comfort to all of his loved ones during their grieving process. We know he would have thought it was wonderful to make a difference for them all. Story 9. I used to not be an organ donor. I was always on the fence. It felt strange and uncomfortable to give away your organs, even if you're not using them. During the first year of medical school, we completed anatomy with real cadavers donated by people willing to give their bodies to science. It removed a lot of the fear of the unknown and the mystery that was making me hesitate. I thought our donors were courageous and admirable for helping teach the next generation of doctors. I signed up to be an organ donor that year. Story 10. I have signed up to be a donor and in my will I am giving my body to science. Perhaps a future medical student will dissect me. Good times. Story 11. I signed up to be an organ donor when I received my driver's license. There is no reason to waste valuable resources. Story 12. I am signed up for full body donation. If any part of my body can help someone or contribute to science, then it is a good thing. Story 13. A long time ago, I was a stripper, and I remember a coworker saying that organ donation wasn't Christian because it ruined the body. I thought it was ironic since she had fake breasts, tattoos, and piercings but wouldn't donate an organ. I wasn't well liked as a stripper. Story 14. In truth, people can be funny in that if they have not made a strong stance about something, they usually just go with the default option. In countries where the default is I am an organ donor but individuals can opt out if they want to, there is close to an 80% organ donation rate. These countries do not experience shortages like others. Story 15. I am happy to do it and would be glad for my organs to save someone else's life. I will not be needing them anymore. Story 16. In my country, everyone is a potential organ donor by default. If you do not want to donate, you must make that very clear. Story 17. When I am done living, they can have my organs. They can use whatever is suitable for transplant, then send the damaged organs to science. However, I will not be very useful since I cannot see much with it. Story 18. My mother would still be alive today if her donor had not backed out. Technically, it was the donor's family. They did not want to wait the hour it might have taken or the 30 minutes to prepare her because she was a special case. She died when I was 13. Story 19. Yes, unless I get very old, I want to do body donation to a medical school, like 80 years or older. I'm on the bone marrow registry but have never been matched and managed to get my iron levels up enough to donate blood just once. My body is quite frail, so I'm not willing to be a living donor of a kidney or liver. Story 20. I am a donor, although my organs may not be healthy enough. I am even considering donating my body to science when I die. I have not looked into it yet and do not know how to get started. Story 21. I am all in. Take whatever you need. I have needed glasses for decades, but if my corneas can help a blind person see, even poorly, then go for it. Story 22. If I were in the scenario of dying soon, I would give my organs to someone who could use them to live a longer life. Story 23. I would prefer that a child live a full life with my kidney rather than die while my organs are decaying underground. Story 24. I have received two. I was an organ donor long before I knew I needed them. I fully support medical miracles. Story 25. I believe everyone should be automatically opted in to organ donation, and individuals should have to opt out, contrary to the approach taken by most states. I would also like to see more people opted in for bone marrow donation. However, I understand the concerns surrounding privacy, especially given the issues with personal data from companies like 23andMe and the skepticism around platforms like the RFK Jr. Registry. The requirement to submit a swab for testing can raise fears about the misuse of personal information. Story 26. I do not understand people who are not willing to change. No matter how you have lived your life, your final act can reflect selfishness. Story 27. Most of my family and close friends are donors. I am as well, but I would only donate an organ if I were dying. While I am alive, I intend to keep all of my organs, even though I know I can live with one kidney. If my daughter or sister needed a kidney and I were a match, then I would donate while living. Story 28. I am a registered donor. It seems obvious to me. My organs will not be of any use to me when I am deceased, but they could help someone else. Story 29. Organ donation is wonderful. Living donation is even better. I donated my kidney and am still considering donating part of my liver in the future once my husband has his transplant. Story 30. I think it's a good thing. I wonder how I would cope if I were to pass away too soon. I am concerned that my kidneys are not in good condition. Story 31. I believe organ donation is the most selfless act a person can make when leaving this world. I have always wondered about the myth that hospitals will let you die if they see you are a donor. Other than that, I support organ donation. I check the organ donation box, but I worry that my body is in such condition that it may not be suitable for anyone to use. Story 32. I would only donate my organs to someone I truly care about while I'm alive, but when I'm gone, I don't want my organs to rot. They should be given to someone who needs them. Honestly, I think organ donation should be the default option. If you want to opt out, you should have to sign a form. What's the point of letting good organs go to waste when so many people need them? Story 33. I feel like, why not? I'm an organ donor on my license. Now, I've experienced life, made some questionable choices, and consumed some substances. So I imagine I don't have what would be considered high-quality parts. But if someone is putting together a budget build, they are more than welcome to salvage what they can. That's how I see it. My one oddball exception to this is my eyes and my reproductive organs. Leave my eyes and my reproductive organs as they are, and after that, I don't care. But I want those to stay with me, just because. Story 34. Very strong per donor. Growing up, it creeps up on you. You know, Jerry Orbach's eyes are still alive. Such an amazing gift. Exemption for religious purposes. If you don't understand how important organ donation is, you are simply ignorant and selfish. Story 35. It is very common where I live. Most people and their children are signed up for it. The process is made very easy through our regular health card renewal procedure. Story 36. After experiencing kidney failure 20 years ago, I realized its importance. I signed up online to be an organ donor after my death. My kidneys resumed some function but not fully, so they are not viable. However, my other organs could potentially save many lives. Story 37. I never even gave it a second thought. It was the most obvious choice I could make. I have had organ donation on my license since I first obtained it 18 years ago. Story 38. I couldn't be more grateful, as I've had a kidney transplant for almost 20 years that saved my life and gave me a new lease on life. Story 39. What is there to consider? A person who has passed no longer needs their body. Enabling someone else to live through donation is a beautiful tribute to them. Story 40. I won't need any of it when I am dead, so take whatever might be useful. I am registered as a bone marrow donor, and if I am ever in a position to donate anything before I die, I would not hesitate. Story 41. I'm on the registry. I won't need them when I'm gone, and if they help someone else, barring any kind of cancer, use them. Story 42. If I am deceased and someone else's life could be saved or improved by my organs, please take them. I no longer need them. I have an uncle whose life was saved by a lung transplant and a friend who needs a kidney transplant. I am grateful to all organ donors. Story 43. I am an organ donor and have no issue with it. I feel proud of my family members who passed away as organ donors, as they were able to improve the lives of others. I would also consider donating my body to research if my partner feels comfortable with it, should I die first. I want to be helpful even in death. Story 44. If my organs are usable, take them. The circumstances for obtaining and maintaining organs for transplant are challenging, and we need as many people as possible to be donors. Story 45. Yes, use my resources if they will help someone. I won't need them anymore if that's the option available. Story 46. I am currently using mine, but I am a registered donor. I would like a say in who receives my organs in the unfortunate event that I die. Story 47. I donated a kidney in 2004. I have cadaver bone grafts. My family knows that upon my death, everything should be harvested. Most people I know are organ donors. I have no idea why anyone would not be. Story 48. If I can save a life on my way out, that would be great. What use would I have for it if I can't use it? Living donor? No. Story 49. I want to make as many positive impacts on the world as possible, and I certainly won't need my organs when I'm gone. Story 50. Absolutely. I have had multiple family members live longer, healthy, and happy lives because of a donor. The notion that medical professionals won't save you is completely false. Yet people continue to spread that misinformation. If I am gone, someone else can benefit from the donation. It gives people their lives back. Story 51. I am not opposed to it. However, I am not a donor on my license since that could override my husband's ability to make medical decisions for me. He knows I would like to donate my organs in the right situation, but I leave that decision to him. Furthermore, after witnessing friends go through this with their child, I find it to be inhumane. They had to say goodbye to their child while he was intubated and had to endure his passing in the surgical room where they were not permitted. Story 52. I believe it is selfish not to be an organ donor. If you are brain dead, you do not need your organs. Additionally, the claim that doctors do not save lives has not been proven true. Living donation should be a choice, however. Story 53. I would not recommend it for anyone because it can be abused, and there are likely more ethical ways to achieve its goals. I do not recall ever considering it. Story 54. I am an organ donor, but I sometimes feel scared when I hear horror stories about hospitals needing organs due to long waitlists. However, I try to remain positive and know that I am making the right decision by being a donor. There are frightening stories about many things, but I believe in the importance of trying to save someone. Story 55. Serious question. I have type 2 diabetes, which is under control with medication. Can I register as a donor, or am I disqualified? Story 56. While I am fine with my organs being donated upon my death, I do not see myself ever donating any of them while I am still alive. My best friend, meanwhile, donated one of her kidneys to a total stranger several years ago. Story 57. I am a donor. I don't need my organs when I die. My friend died of kidney failure while on the transplant list. Watching her get sicker every day while waiting for the call was brutal. I can't even imagine what she went through. Story 58. I plan to donate whatever is needed. It's on my license that I am a donor. I will not need any part of my body after I am deceased. After all the useful parts are taken, I do not care what happens. Dispose of me in the woods or use me for target practice. Just do not embalm me or place me in an expensive coffin that serves no purpose other than to extract money from my family in the name of grief. Story 59. I find it harmless. After I die, no one will be using them. They can take them. I don't know if anything will be of use, though. Story 60. It's not like I will need them when I am gone. When I die, I will donate everything except my bones. Those will be cremated and turned into a tree. Story 61. I signed up the day I obtained my license. When I am not using it, if my organs can help someone else, why allow someone to die needlessly when I have what could assist them in surviving? Unless someone's faith specifically prohibits it, I would question the wisdom of that. I am also fine with whatever future doctors want to do with the rest. They can test their suturing, practice scalpel work, or study something on my tissue. Again, it could help someone in the future, so why not when I don't need it? That is like being wealthy and having your money buried with you instead of giving it to loved ones and charities. Story 62. I will leave my organs and whatever is left can go to science. My husband wants his head cryogenically frozen, just in case he can be revived in the future. Story 63. I have never considered not being an organ donor. That does not make sense to me. Do you think what happens with your body after you die is more important than saving someone else from dying? I am not saying people who think that are bad individuals. Everyone has their own opinion, but if I held that view, I would consider myself a bad individual as well. Story 64. I am deceased and do not require it. If I needed an organ, I would want it. Therefore, because I am not selfish, I donate. Story 65. I cannot view it positively after experiencing someone read the Fazbear Frights Step Closer book. Toward the end, a child dies, but his soul remains trapped in his body as he watches the doctors remove his eyes and hand. Creeps me out. However, it can be helpful for patients who need assistance after death. It would be distressing if you were still alive and saw them do that but couldn't move or speak to stop them. Story 66. I am an organ donor. If there is no hope for me, then let there be hope for someone else. It is the same reason I donate blood when I am able. Story 67. I wanted to, and it was marked on my driver's license for a long time, but it turns out my connective tissue disorder disqualifies me as a candidate. Story 68. My husband and I are both organ donors. If for some unfortunate reason we had to make that decision, our kids would be as well. Simply the right thing to do. Story 69. Yes, I have always agreed to this. I am deceased. Let someone else use them to stay alive. The only reason to decline is if you intend to donate your body to science. Story 70. My dad died waiting for a lung transplant 35 years ago. He was 44 years old. In a twist of fate, at about the same age he died, I was diagnosed with the same terminal disease. After suffering from the disease for years, I was very sick and out of options. Then a miracle happened. A selfless person and his family donated his perfect lungs. They were transplanted into my body, which has accepted them as my own. That was nearly 7 years ago. Story 71. My family is involved in organ donation in many ways. Both my sister-in-law and my father-in-law were able to be donors when they passed away unexpectedly. I received a heart transplant 16 years ago. Story 72. I wish I could, but I am ineligible. My blood is dangerous for normal people. Organs would have the same condition. Story 73. I am an organ donor. When I am dead, I do not care what organs they take. I am not using them anymore. If they are in good working order and someone else will benefit from them, take them. It will not bother me. Story 74. I always felt strongly in favor of it. When my mother passed, her eyes were donated. I'm not sure who received them, but maybe one day we will lock eyes again. Even if not, it makes me feel hopeful knowing she was able to help someone. Story 75. I have checked my license. When I am gone, I will not need my organs anymore. If my organs can save someone else so they can live on, then my role on earth is complete. Story 76. I would not be alive without my wife's kidney. My life is significantly better since my transplant. I support organ donation, Story 77. I am currently considering liver donation. It will likely be late this year. I must admit I am scared of it. There is a real possibility of death, but I will probably go through with it anyway. Story 78. I signed up without giving it much thought. I simply completed the forms online and it was done. I won't need them once I am gone anyway. Story 79. I have been an organ donor since I received my driver's license. When I die, I intend to be cremated. And if I have any willing relatives, I would like my ashes scattered in the ocean. If I can help people live longer, better lives, that would be amazing. I cannot have children, so the thought of a part of me living on, even if just for a few years, is a positive one. Story 80. My baby brother came early due to stomach trauma to our mom. His little body wasn't ready, so he lived for less than an hour. His heart was healthy, so our mom made the decision to help another baby. I like to think that there is still a piece of my baby brother in the world. I don't know if my organs will be any good when I'm done with them, but if they are, I hope they use every bit of me they can. Story 81. Well, I currently need a kidney, so I feel pretty good about it. But will I donate mine? I'm not sure they will accept it due to my autoimmune disease, honestly. Story 82. I have done it. I donated a kidney a couple of years ago. I am doing fine, and it is the best feeling to see the recipient so much improved. After I die, I am happy to give the rest of my usable parts away. Story 83. My grandma needed a heart transplant in 1989. She received a donor heart but never woke up after the surgery. I wasn't old enough to know or remember this at the time, but I now see it as an incredible gift that she was given a second chance, even though it didn't work out. I am a registered organ donor. If the conditions allow it when I die, anything that can be donated may be taken. Story 84. Having worked in a dialysis unit, I support organ donation. There is a severe shortage of organs, and individuals in need face long waits and extensive testing before receiving one. Story 85. I did at one point, but I removed myself from the donor registry. I would also refuse any donations, including blood. My beliefs are now different, and I would need to write much more than anyone would care to read to explain why and how. Story 86. My whole body is in such poor condition that I have decided to donate it to a medical school when I pass away. I can just imagine a couple of first-year students examining and marveling at the anomalies. It is the only way I will ever get into Harvard. Story 87. I support organ donation and wish it were an opt-out program in the United States. Even if you are a donor, let your family know your wishes. Story 88. I think it is a great thing. I personally cannot donate because of health issues. I probably could not receive a donated organ due to other health issues. Story 89. My body is just a spacesuit. If it malfunctions, I will let others whose suits can be repaired have the spare parts so they can continue with whatever we are supposed to be doing here. Story 90. I have been an organ donor since I obtained my driver's license. I don't give it much thought. It won't matter to me, but it could make a difference for someone else. Story 91. I feel called to do it, but I had to think twice when I overheard a doctor saying that it's not worth trying to save a patient because multiple other people could benefit from the patient's organs. When it comes to my life, I want every effort made to save it, and I will not provide any incentive for doctors to even consider otherwise. So I need to talk to an attorney to see about drafting a legal document that will reveal my status as a donor immediately after I die, but not before. Story 92. I fully support it. When my brother passed away in 2005, he was an organ donor. Both his corneas and skin grafts were used. A part of him lives on. He was a caring and generous man in life, and he continued to give even after death. Story 93. If someone else can use my organs after I am no longer using them, more power to them. Take whatever can be used because I will be deceased. Story 94. My sister saved my life 26 years ago with a kidney. There is no valid reason, perhaps religious, not to be an organ donor. In most cases, the presumption is that you won't be around to need your organs anymore. In tragic circumstances, it is a way to turn a negative into a positive. Story 95. I am listed as an organ donor. When I am gone, I will not need them, and I lose nothing by having them taken. I am not religious, and all of it will just be taken by the insects that consume my body. It might as well be given to someone who is still fighting to live. I know there is a lot of fear around the idea of organs being taken while still alive or prematurely without full confirmation of death, but I believe that is very unlikely and it does not bother me. Additionally, if something that extreme were to happen to me, given how uneventful and unhealthy my body generally is, I would be willing to just let it happen and accept my fate. Story 96. I have no allergies, no chronic issues, and no food sensitivities. Physically, I have been fortunate to live an incredibly easy life. I spend a lot of time maintaining that by exercising and cooking healthy meals. One day, I was struck by a drunk driver. I died on the spot, but everything was still functioning normally. My options are 1. Be buried in a coffin. 2. Be cremated with my ashes scattered. Or 3. Be partially cremated, donating my usable organs to those who were not as fortunate as I have been. If I choose option 3, my family can still scatter my ashes and another family or multiple families will not have to deal with spreading any of theirs. The choice is clear for me. Story 97. I have had it on my driver's license since my teens. My dad was an organ donor, and I have a letter from a blind teacher who received his eyes. He never accomplished much himself, but it is nice to know he was able to do some good for the world after his passing. Story 98. Yes, in the past, I loved to do good deeds. However, there was so much red tape and they asked so many questions. It became irritating to help them. They should just accept the assistance when I offer it, rather than questioning everything like, where did you get the kidney from? Why is it in a bucket? Whose kidney is this? I give up. Jokes aside, I come from a country where you have to manually opt out. Story 99. My parents are organ donation recipients. My younger brother, who is also adopted, donated a kidney to our mother. My father received a liver from a man who died in a motorcycle accident. I wouldn't have my father today and my mother for those extra 5 to 6 years if they had not received donated organs. Another brother, who is biological to my parents, is a nurse who approaches families about donating. He is dependable. I do church work with someone who harvests organs for donation. Because of my parents and my older brother, I never worried about being an organ donor. I figured that as long as one of them is alive, they will ask how soon the doctors can start the process. Yes, it's morbid joking, but it's not far off. I am completely fine with giving everything up, including body parts, when I pass away. Story 100. I'm keeping it off my license, but have instructed my parents that should something happen, it's their decision. The same instruction will be given to my future wife. Story 101. As long as they ensure I am definitely gone, they can take what they want. I have been an organ donor since I was 15. In the United Kingdom, they include the registration as an option when you apply for a driving license. Story 102. I believe it should be opt-out. This way, the individuals evaluating your paperwork are aware of your shortcomings. I have never heard a compelling argument against it, apart from concerns about medical contamination. Story 103. I opted in on my identification card. I will not need it when I am gone, and if my final act could save someone else, that would please me very much. Story 104. I will go against the grain and say that no, I am not an organ donor. My body is just for me. I do not want others' organs, and I do not want them to have mine. Story 105. Assuming that I arrive at that point with anything of value, part me out and pass me around like those gift bags at fancy parties. I am not using any of it anymore, so there is no point in disposing of the good stuff. But the joke is on whoever gets my kidneys. They are filled with stones waiting to exit. Story 106. My parents dislike the idea, but I do not. To quote my mother, you know they can take anything they want, right? What will we have left of you? I am listed as an organ donor on all of my identification. I won't need my organs if something happens to me, and I would prefer my body to help someone else live rather than go to waste. Once I pass, I do not believe my body is me anymore. Helping more people before I go or even afterwards is a win in my book. Story 107. I am okay with it as long as I am no longer alive when they harvest. I will not need my body anymore, and it could save 8 lives. They can take what they need to help others and cremate the rest. Story 108. I have mixed feelings about it. I am considering the idea that if I become one, I would want everything that could possibly be used to be required for use. Story 109. I'm going to be an organ donor when my time is up if anyone can use some of these leftover parts. Story 110. I have always felt this way since I was 16 years old. I don't care what happens to my body after I'm dead. If it can save someone else's life, I support donating my organs. Hopefully, they can take everything so my family won't have to go into debt to dispose of my body otherwise. Story 111. We have an opt-out system here in Scotland where individuals are automatically considered to be consenting to organ donation unless they specifically opt out. So I guess I will be donating mine. Story 112. I have just started donating blood because I want to help others in need. When I die, I know I will not need my organs, so I want others to be able to live with my organs if they can. Story 113. In my country, you are an organ donor by default unless you object. I believe this system is effective and should be implemented everywhere. Story 114. I used to be an organ donor, but I'm about to revoke my status once I get my real ID in a few weeks. There are too many instances of people intentionally not being saved, and too many instances of doctors being fine with a patient being considered unsavable instead of continuing to try until the final breath. If you're listed as an organ donor, then they have to take extreme measures to retrieve the organs before blood flow stops, meaning you don't get any last chances or second opinions. I originally put myself down as an organ donor because I felt embarrassed not to, but I changed my mind afterward. They tried to do that to my mother when I was 4 years old. I almost became an orphan that day. My grandfather managed to stop them by suing the hospital for malpractice. His lawyer convinced the hospital that they could be liable for murder if my mother died due to several of their doctors ignoring her as she explained the symptoms she was experiencing, even as her condition worsened. They kept trying to convince her it was just her period, despite her not having her period at all. The symptoms didn't match what they were claiming, so the lawyer argued that the doctors would have already been required to know that those diagnoses were incorrect. The doctors were then told they were required to do everything possible to keep her alive instead of unplugging her as they had planned. Lo and behold, she woke up from her coma and was relatively fine. They were going to kill her, though. Story 115. Who doesn't donate organs? Besides Jehovah's Witnesses, are there seriously people who mark no on that? Story 116. I had this conversation recently. I don't feel that organ donation is for me, but I have no issue if others choose to do it. Story 117. Don't donate, sell. You only need one lung and a single kidney. It's quick, easy money that can be put to great use in a casino. Story 118. I guess I am still concerned I will not receive the same treatment. I know the Department of Motor Vehicles states that I will, but I still have doubts. Story 119. I have always wanted to be an organ donor because I believe I won't need my organs. However, I found out that I cannot be one since I am a type 1 diabetic, as my condition might pose risks. I was devastated by this news. Story 120. Nope. I'm not eligible to receive, so I assume they don't want mine. I am a completely healthy 40-year-old. Story 121. I am in the United States and have been a donor for over 20 years. I never understood objections to organ donation. Is it superstition? You're dead, you won't even know. Story 122. People should do it. I have told my loved ones that this is what should happen if something occurs to me. Story 123. I have donated numerous kidneys over the years. It is my humble way of giving back to the community. Story 124. I believe that organ donation should not be a voluntary process. When organ procurement representatives approach families about harvesting organs, they should provide a non-negotiable checklist of organs they are seeking, along with the payment for each viable organ. The fees should not be covered by insurance companies as part of their care. If this system were implemented, more organs could be transplanted. I hope that my loved ones would choose to donate all of my organs, leaving only a small amount of skin and hair to be buried. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.